Hello everybody, Dagmar Bryant, Mindset and Transformational Coach, coming to you today to talk about mindset and the people who we surround ourselves with. There was a very interesting situation for both Glenn and me when we were living in LA, and we happened to be going to see this movie, which was 3 Billboards Over Ebbing, Missouri. I think that was it. Anyway, there's this one particular scene where Mildred, who is the lead character, who has happened to have lost her daughter, and she's having a chat with the priest about gangs. And it turns out that in LA, there is actually a law that if you are part of a gang and they commit offenses, you actually can be convicted of either a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on the situation, because you are associated with the gang. Doesn't matter that you may not have actually done anything, it's just by your association. And Glenn and I, we're watching this movie and this one scene with Mildred and the priest, and she's laying into the priest because of his association with the gang, being the church. And all these people around us in the cinema, they're nodding away because they all knew about this particular law, and they're all going, oh yeah. And it was one of those magical moments where you could feel the energy in the theatre because everybody's in agreement with this particular law and they all know about it, and you could feel it as the character on the screen is doing this particular scene. Now, the scene in some ways in itself is a little bit irrelevant. It's more that I happen to think it was a fantastic scene, and look it up on YouTube if you really like it. I think it is actually called Mildred and the Priest. But the point of it is people will associate you and who you associate with in terms of how they judge you. Now you might say, oh, people don't judge me. Well, actually, people do judge us. We get judged for the way that we look, the way that we speak, what we say, how we say it, how we dress, are we fat, are we skinny, all of those kind of things. And people make those judgments a lot of the time unconsciously. Today, what I want to focus on is the things that you can do consciously to be aware of how other people might perceive you by your associations. I know President Trump often gets judged, if you like, by the things that he says on Twitter. And a lot of people think to themselves, well, this is a representation of the person who is making those comments. So if you are a part of a group, or if you are commenting on social media in a particular way, people are going to judge that, and people are going to look at you in association with who you associate with, if you know what I mean. I'm saying to you, you have every right to free speech, you have every right to say whatever you want to say, and you have every right to be with whoever you want to be with. What I am also saying to you is be mindful of how that might affect you. For example, if you have a particular belief system and you're on social media in a group, but you're going for a high-profile job, and it is pretty common these days for employers to check out your social media, what groups you're a part of, what kind of things that you post. If they don't like something that you post or something that you are associated with, they might not give you that job simply because of your association. This is where I'm saying to you, be mindful of what you do may be perceived by others. Some of you out there might say, well, I don't actually give a rat's. Great. It doesn't matter then. This topic then is probably not relevant to you. There are a lot of people out there who this is relevant to you. So I'd love you to bring this to their attention. But it's the kind of thing where, we as parents, I know I'm a mother, we try and encourage our children the right way. But if, for example, they get caught up, and the gang example springs to mind, if they get caught up in a gang or with a bad crowd, that could affect their future, either in terms of employment opportunities, in terms of the kind of life that they will have and how they will go forward in life. We always try and teach our kids the best way, and teaching this is a perfect example of how we can show them what's in their best interest. If they're anything like most kids, they probably will say, oh, well, I don't care, I'll make my own decisions. You can only do what you can do. In terms of your own decisions, when you are looking at joining a new group or joining a new club or new friends and new associations, ask yourself, is this what really resonates with you? I think Glenn and I joined Toastmasters back in 2015, and it was absolutely fabulous. And I remember being in LA and going along to a Toastmasters presentation, and this was done by a former world, I think he was a finalist in the International Toastmasters Speech Contest, and he actually said, Toastmasters can only take you so far. There's going to be a time when you realize that that's no longer what you want. And at the time when we were in LA, I thought, oh, well, yeah, okay, maybe, but I'm not there yet. And the funny thing is, having come to England, while I still love Toastmasters and while I still think it's a great community, do I really feel that it's the right thing for me? Maybe not. The jury's still out on that one, although I haven't joined Toastmasters here for various reasons. Ask yourself, when you are getting involved, even with a new job, a new company, will this resonate with you? Will this help you in terms of your long-term goals, your long-term people that you might need to connect with? Sometimes we do things for a short period of time because it happens to suit us, and that's actually quite okay. We are making that as a conscious decision. Today, I just would like you to consciously be aware of the kind of decisions that you are making with respect to the people that you have around you. Even if you make a choice at some point and then you get into that particular situation and realize that it's not for you, don't stay in it because you think that, oh, I shouldn't get out of it. No, do. Sometimes we need to try certain things just to realize that they're not for us, and that's a really valuable learning step. Associations and the people that we connect with are a valuable part of our life. We want to be socially accepted. We want to be recognized. It's an important part of who we are. I only ask that you consider how that might affect you and what is its purpose. Tell me, have you been involved in a particular group that you thought was a great benefit to you? Or have you been involved in a group where you realized it just wasn't for you, that there were people around you who didn't click with you, who didn't sync with you, where you didn't have the same values? Moreover, what did you do about it? Tell me your stories. Share with me your experiences. Thanks for listening, guys. I look forward to talking to you again soon.